Welcome back to PhilosoFriday. Today, the Allegory of the Cave by Plato from his book, The Republic, which I haven't read in a while. So I'm going to try to get this right and try to keep it concise. The Allegory of the Cave goes like this. There are a group of prisoners who are imprisoned in a cave. They're chained up. They've never walked. They've never been outside of the cave. Everything they know, their whole perception, their whole conception, we should say, of the world is confined to this cave, confined to the relationships that they have with each other, and confined to shadows that are being casted on the wall right in front of them by a puppet master, making, symbols and with strings, I guess, casting shadows of puppets in front of a large fire behind the prisoners. So it creates these shadows on the wall, and they get to know some of the shadows and assign names to them and make characters out of them and form relationships with them. And they try to, I guess, not try, but they extract some knowledge from that, whether or not it's representative of, truth, how the world really is, I'm not sure. But this is all they know, right? And so one day, one of the prisoners breaks free of his chains, and he stands up, and he walks around a bit. Little moment of enlightenment there. And then he separates himself from the other prisoners, finds his way out of the cave, and sees the world outside of the cave. And he's like, wow, this is amazing, He sees and feels the weather, animals, nature, maybe a little beach, maybe a little seashore or mountain action going, And he's like, wow, this is amazing. The world is so much more than what I thought it was, what I've been given in the cave. So he immediately thinks about his prisoner friends. He cares about them. He has a relationship with them. So he wants to go back and enlighten them, tell them about his new knowledge and open that up to them. And he faces tremendous ridicule from them because they don't know any better. They don't even really have the curiosity to see any value in exploring what is beyond that which they know. And so this, or that which they've been given too. So this metaphor could be used in a somewhat shallow way if we want. We could say that we're all confined to the prison of our own knowledge, and that there are puppet masters, like in the cave, giving us all of the knowledge that we have, and that's the only source of it. So we could argue that on a factual, and political level, when it comes to the media and stuff, especially nowadays, that seeing the truth is about breaking free of the confines of, those chains of our information sources and exploring knowledge elsewhere. And that is true, but I think that's a bit of a shallow way to put it. I mean, there's definitely some truth to it, and there are people pulling the strings, casting shadows of what they want us to know onto the wall before us. But you don't even have to step out of the cave to see why and how that is misleading, those symbols, those shadows on the wall, so to speak. All you have to do is turn around and look at the source of where those shadows are coming from. So that is one level of enlightenment, we could say. And then exiting the cave is really a higher level. And enlightenment doesn't happen all at once. generally speaking. I mean, maybe for a select few people, it does. If someone is very, very lost, very misled, if the shackles that are controlling their life are, every combination of, I guess, their own emotions and the influence of other people, and that they're just a sponge for everything that comes in. They have no filter, and one day there's a huge traumatic event in their life that changes not only their perspective of the world, but actual parts about the context before them or in which they're situated. Enlightenment tends to happen incrementally for most of us most of the time. As long as you remain open, remain curious, and feed that curiosity, follow your intuition, and know the difference between intuition and emotion, and go with intuition every time, then it's then that we gain little bits of enlightenment that add up over time to a new perspective of how the world is, So, again, the prisoner goes outside of the cave. He sees more than what he had been given before. That gives him a new perspective. And then he's faced with another perspective of the other prisoners when he goes back and faces their ridicule when he's really just trying to help them. But if they are not willing to break free of their own chains and find out more than what they know for themselves, and there's nothing he can do. He's going to be murdered in that cave over these claims that he's making, because it is questioning their knowledge, questioning their being, their perception, their existence, more deeply than just facts, So remain open, remain curious, follow your intuition, but have principles, have a filter for that information, and know that the first step of enlightenment is not even to break free of the shackles. Sometimes that's difficult, but rather to turn around and observe impartially the source of the shadows that are being casted before you. That's been PhilosoFriday on the Allegory of the Cave by Plato. See you in the next one. Cheers.